patience. Yes, a second recording because the first went bad on me. I was working off the desktop and then suddenly it just stopped recognizing all the mics that I had, and then restarts and browser restarts did nothing. So off I trundled for the laptop downstairs and it was flat. So excuse me for a second while we got our act together. So I wanted to give you an update on my take on the BTC situation. So out with a pen and on the laptop, which is as good as any. So key level of significance here for the neckline. We had our fractal there, which was inverted and it smashed down. We got our final low there. And then we had a pump candle here. So that gave us our two highs. That was the middle bit in between. So that's your kind of W bottom, if you want. And that distance gave you a kind of double bottom, which if you projected up, I think just about made target, as did the other fractal here, with its little target being projected there. So that's a little bit of the pattern history. I'm going to take that down just to wipe its face a little bit. But here's the thing that's a little bit worrying me about all of this. It's just really not that strong. Look at this downside, by the way. Look at that. These are big-ass candles. Big sell-off, structure, sell-off, bang. That is heavy-duty selling. And then what do we get at the moment over here? Well, we've got... Let's do him in green. We're running through there. That was our, and then that was that. And it's not popped for its target. I'm doing this real fat now. It's not popped for that. In fact, we got the smallest of breaks there, and then we fizzled back into that channel that I talked about in the earlier loom, and you got your rising wedge to break the other key level of significance, which was running through here, which was your W top high. That was your neckline point. That was the key level, and that was the point at which it broke. So we had that little dive. You remember all this from this morning. So that's all good. We will wipe the face again because that's a big old mess. But the point I just wanted to show you that is worrying me for the upside and actually has me reaffirm my bias bear. That said, there is a situation where it becomes bullish as well, and I must talk clearly about that too. So let's make that both of those apparent. So since this low here, we got this line, we're trimming the wicks, we got this grind line, we're trimming the wicks, we got this grind line, we're trimming the wicks. So we've got a kind of, and we got a down, and then we got a down. And now we're here, and this line is going off into the sunset there at a certain gradient. It's quite a low ascending grind, so that's what I'd call a low ascending grind that has been visited a few times. And my concern is what on that? You guessed it, grind lines get broken, and they usually get broken with momentum, so that would be strong short. And we're squeezing up against that failed key level of significance, which was, once again, the different color. Use them if you've got them. Inverted head and shoulders. So what does this point to? I fear this scenario is my bias. For those that are crypto long, that's a fear. For those of you that are in fiat, that means you'll get crypto cheaper, lower, and shorts can be taken. I'm comfortable with, once again, still NEO, and still otherwise in fiat. But for liquidity reasons, I would be interested if Bitcoin had a little went really bear flag like and set up a bit of a break. That grind line could be your early entry to another sell-off event. We had our chance. We did pop the neckline after our two shoulders. We had two HVF fractals in there. And we just didn't have any zip. Apart from the fractal coming home, everything just went straight back into a sell again. Yes, you had that being fairly impulsive. So what's the other scenario? Let's talk about all the other scenarios just so that you have. So that's my most probable bias. That's why I'm putting a bias around that. So just read that. That's my primary bias in terms of my and I can always be wrong, but in terms of the 50% mark, my needle is more in this half. So it's got all that area on its side. That's my bias. What is the alternative that is a potential event, which would be happier days for those that are long-term investors? We're squeezing up against there. And at the same time, this lower grind that I've highlighted is running along the bottom here. We get ping pong squeezed, and then we pop out and we break that level. So any breaking of that key level of significance at 6535 should be taken to the long side if you do that. So this period between now and then, let's take a different color pencil, is going to be quite a critical period and may give us some important clues as to whether we're going to do that peeing off the roof through the bottom line, or whether we're going to actually do so there's a decision tree event coming. The things in favor for the upside are we've pumped quite hard a few times off the grind. So there is a tendency in establishment, and that could occur again there after this. But what's also happening is, I will highlight, is that we are over time getting most of that back in both instances. And whilst that had that amount of volume, this is lesser amount of volume. So it's dissipating, which you tend to get as you work your way through an ascending triangle like this. This is what you call an ascending triangle structure now. It's a failed inverted head and shoulders, so it's rolled into this potential structure. And so the buyers are coming up under here. But the problem you may have by bringing up this grind line is they are pre-exhausting, and hence you get your fizzle. Or there is such an army of value buyers, they're going to melt you up. So it's a little bit of a polarized event. One is you're here and one is you're there. There's nothing in the middle. It's one or the other. And what happens in the blue box is going to help us get an idea. As I've already indicated, bearish would be weak flagging like that without going too high, with lots of selling wicks across the top. Yes. More bullish would be another perky uprise right up to the level, and then a very mild grind. That would start to show some level of buoyancy. So if you go quite perky up towards and we're going like this, and with just lots of hammers, and then another move up, that would set you up quite nicely. So remember, concave, we like concave. If we have concave will be good for the bull. If we have convexity, in other words, it's not such a big push off, it's flag-like over here, and then it sells off hard, and then when it is up, it's like rounded top and selling hard like that. Then again, we have the bear possibility. If we're just grinding along the lower edge of the line, the key line, it could set up the sell. So that's the take for this. There is an event coming for Bitcoin. So far, it's not blown me away, that being its most positive moment. And it hasn't held on to it. There's been no follow through. So then there's going to be a whole new momentum required. Otherwise, it's going to get caught in this ping pong squeeze. And without clear signs of a whole new momentum coming and a bit of real zip, it's going to get trapped in here. And as it's going, it's going to fizzle. In other words, the exhaustion of the coming up under the market bulls will be complete. That's my take. So big polarizing point coming, and keep your eyes closed. Watch for what happens in the box, and if you wish to trade. If uncertain, stay out, play safe. Not an advisor, do your own thing, but be cautious. Cool. Bye for now.